What is at the heart of all construction projects and at the heart of project management? The answer is quite simply knowledge or data. Much of the discussion today is about harnessing the knowledge or data that exists on a project. And we've talked about it before, that the global data sphere is going to grow significantly through 2025. But here's why it's so important. IDC has said Fortune 500 companies lose roughly $31.5 billion a year. This is because they are failing to share knowledge. Now that's $31.5 billion. Imagine the money we could save if we harnessed all of that knowledge. Now it's no big secret, construction is about to lose a big portion of its knowledge. By 2030, in the US, we will have more than 65 and older residents than children, says AARP. Before we hit that pivotal year, we need to digitize the workforce knowledge that exists on the job site. Technology can help us do that. So let's explore the fundamentals of digital project management. Perhaps we should start with the basics. What is knowledge? Quite simply, knowledge is a collection of facts, information, and experience collected throughout a project lifecycle that is available to use and apply to new experiences.
Relative to construction, I would say that knowledge is the combination of information mixed with experience and lessons learned.
Here is where this gets really exciting. Digitizing knowledge gives you the power to collect and harmonize data.
So digitizing knowledge, I think, is really comes back to one of the ways I like to think about kind of the construction problem in general is as an equation. It's expectations equal outcomes, and it's kind of like if we used an analogy of a weather forecaster, creating a model to predict what the weather is going to be like, and then validating, you know, when you get to that date where you made that prediction, how close was that prediction, that expectation, did it match the outcome? And then you adjust from that, right? So then there's lessons learned from that in order to make your models better and better. Same thing applies in construction. So whether it's in the form of estimates or schedules or short interval plans or daily crew plans, those are all, the essence of those things, they're all models, right? They might be cost models, they might be time models. And then you capture the assumptions that go into those models. That way, when you get to the outcomes and the work's been done, you can trace that back to, you know, did we get the outcome that we expected? And if not, what assumptions were incorrect, right? So the next time, do I need to adjust the model? Or was it a fluke? Was it something that we're going to experience, you know, on project after project, so we need to adjust those models?
You can combine it with context and prior outcomes, and this lets you build intelligence that can serve as a foundation for future growth.
I would say that in construction, there's a tendency to downplay the benefit of historical data because there's this notion that every project is different and so unique. But if you can break the project down to kind of that atomic level, you can start to generate information, whether you're building a building or a power plant or a road or a bridge, you know, how you form, pour, and strip that concrete slab. There's a lot of similarities there from project to project. So capturing knowledge at that atomic level does become meaningful from project to project. And then it's really about taking that information and putting it in the hands of the humans who are going to interpret that information, make decisions, applying the right context for, you know, the current project.
Here's why capturing knowledge is so important today. Organizations can gain more wisdom, shorten learning curves for new talent, build their benchmarking processes, identify potential risks, and even increase their chances for success.
I think the benefit of that all-digital approach is ultimately in those three areas. So it's the risk reduction. We're doing less rework. We're making less mistakes. It's that efficiency gain that we get. So work can move faster. We don't have the holdups and the hangups of waiting for people to make decisions. We can get the information when we need it. And then third, it's that ability to grow and not be really dependent on kind of the superstars. Often construction companies, when they start off and they get to a certain point, the bottleneck becomes that knowledge that's in one or two or a handful of people's heads, and that becomes the limiter on growth. So for companies that are looking to scale, getting that institutionalized knowledge to the people that need it allow you to bring new people on, get them up to speed faster, and put them in areas of responsibility faster.
Putting the data in your hands gives you the ability to transform your future. So how do you do this?
In terms of steps, I would say, to get to that kind of digital approach, I think the first step is to really kind of look at your business process and your workflows. So that's the most important part, making sure that you've got what you need to, again, whether it's estimating or scheduling or work planning, procurement, each of those things needs a good digital approach that allows you to do that expectations versus outcomes, create the models and then track how we did against those models. So I think that's really the first step, getting that business process and that workflow in place. And then the second step, I think, is making sure that we can take all the data that's being generated through those workflows and bring it into a common data model so that we can report on it and we can create dashboards and do analytics. And that's often one of the hardest parts, and that's because what happens very often is we use different systems from different vendors to handle those different business processes, and then when we want to bring all that data together to create some meaningful analytics on it, now we've got a problem of trying to mash up the data in a meaningful way, and we're kind of often trying to put square pegs in round holes. So InEight's focus has been on how do we create that common data model, provide the functionality if you want to use our functionality through those different business processes, but if you want to use other scheduling tools or other estimating tools, that's fine. But the goal is, let's get all of that data coming out of those operations into a common model, so that we can create dashboards and do analytics and put that information at our fingertips.
There's so much data and information available to you on your projects, and leveraging knowledge is the right tool for the innovation for the next decade. Thanks for watching Construct Tech TV, fierce advocates for construction. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe.